Welcome to the deep dive. You've sent us your notes from Adventures in Svarga Session 59 on the Uber Groove YouTube channel. And wow, stepping into this looks like stepping into absolute chaos, a massive cavern where a full-on fight is erupting.
Exactly. Your notes drop us right into the middle of it.
Yeah.
The player characters are already in initiative, facing a cleric and, well, a whole host of other opponents. It's not a calm before the storm. It's, the heart of the storm itself.
Okay, so to paint a picture for you, this brawl involves our heroes going up against this cleric who has the rather unforgettable name, Saucy Poo,
Yeah.
plus a variety of other unfriendly faces. One of your characters, a shadow, has just made a pretty impactful move against a monk who was up on a ledge dealing necrotic damage.
Right, and that necrotic damage, it's interesting because it's not just about the hit points lost immediately. It actually saps the monk's strength.
Yeah, even a small reduction like that early on can have a knock-on effect, right? Makes it harder for him to carry gear, use certain skills.
Swing his weapons effectively later in the fight. It's subtle, but potentially powerful. A good tactic.
And another player, Stroop, is convinced he's got Saucy Poo marked with Hunter's Mark.
Which is a ranger ability, lets them do extra damage to their chosen target. So right off the bat, it suggests Saucy Poo is seen as a key threat.
And this isn't just like a simple scuffle. This cleric, Saucy Poo, immediately launches some kind of magical attack.
Plus, the fact that you noted lethal traps being present really raises the stakes. These aren't just common thugs. You're dealing with a potentially well-prepared, dangerous group.
You even mention a fiery explosion that was narrowly avoided, so the environment itself seems hazardous.
Definitely.
Right, the action really gets intense when Stroop unleashes Hellfire Brimstone, hitting two figures and dealing force damage.
Force damage. That's interesting. It's pure magical energy, and not much resists it usually.
Yeah. Then, in a neat bit of teamwork, the monk, despite just taking that hit and losing strength, uses a bonus action to somehow bring the shadow right back into the fight for another attack.
Okay. So it's a very aggressive opening salvo.
What's fascinating here is the immediate interplay of different character abilities. You see the shadow weakening a potentially mobile threat in the monk.
While Stroop is going after the more magically inclined opponent, Saucy Poo, this early focus suggests maybe a coordinated effort to dismantle the enemy's strengths from the outset.
So this monk up on the ledge, apparently he's got an AC of 21.
Okay, AC, armor class, and 21 is pretty high. Means he's tough to hit with physical attack.
He also remembers activating a jumping ring, which explains how he got up there, likely giving him a tactical advantage. He's clearly not an easy target.
Indeed. That high AC makes him resistant to many, standard attacks. Now, the Shadow's attack against him in that first round it hits deals 5 points of necrotic damage.
And reducing his strength by 3. Like we said, maybe small damage, but that strength reduction can accumulate.
Exactly. Hinder his capabilities over the course of a longer fight.
Then there's Maynard, another player, who apparently follows the Shadow's lead and does something similar to the monk. We don't have the specifics, but it sounds like they're also focusing their attacks on this monk on the ledge.
Suggests a deliberate strategy then, doesn't it? Eliminate that high ground advantage early on.
Focusing attacks on a single, strategically positioned target early in a fight is often, well, a sound tactic.
Oh, yeah. By concentrating their efforts, the party aims to quickly neutralize a potential threat before it can cause too much trouble.
Now, things get a little more complicated when one of the players uses their reaction for warding flare.
Warding flare. That's a reaction some characters have, often divine ones, right? Lets them impose disadvantage on an attack roll against them, usually with a flash of light.
Yeah, but in this case, it doesn't seem to affect the shadow because of flames. It's a bit unclear.
It's interesting that the warding flare didn't hinder the shadow. Maybe because it's a creature of shadow, it's not as susceptible to visual distractions like bright light?
Could be. It's a good reminder that different creature types can interact with abilities in unexpected ways. And even with the disadvantage it normally imposes, the shadow still misses its attack.
Right.
And you noted the chaotic nature of initiative rolls. For those who haven't played, at the start of a fight, everyone rolls to see when they get to take their turn.
And sometimes the order can be quite surprising, yeah.
Yeah.
It really dictates the flow of those opening moments.
Absolutely. Initiative can significantly influence the momentum of a battle, determining who gets to act first and potentially setting the tone. A lower roll can put you in a more reactive position.
Definitely.
Now, Stroop's Hunter's Mark spell on Saucy Poo, as we touched on, this is a ranger spell that lets them deal extra damage whenever they hit their marked target.
Right. A key way for rangers to single out a dangerous enemy and focus their offensive power.
Given that Stroop is using it on Saucy Poo, it just reinforces the idea that the cleric is seen as a major threat. And Stroop's Hellfire Brimstone continues, still dealing that pure force damage to both Saucy Poo and another unfortunate target.
But Saucy Poo isn't just standing there taking it. He uses a bonus action to dodge.
Dodge. So the next attack roll made against him before his next turn has disadvantage, makes him harder to hit.
Exactly. Meaning the attacker has to roll twice and take the worst result. It's a smart defensive move to mitigate Stroop's damage.
That dodge action is a crucial tactical decision by Saucy Poo, highlights his awareness of the immediate threat.
Definitely.
Then it's Kitty Wampus's turn. They command their beast companion, Vogelfest, to go after Saucy Poo.
Again, that coordinated attack strategy.
And then Kitty Wampus themselves fires a shot at the cleric. It's a two-pronged assault.
This simultaneous action, using both Kitty Wampus's own attack and their companions, demonstrates an efficient use of their available actions. Really maximizes the pressure on Saucy Poo, forces him to deal with multiple threats at once.
And then a spell cast at Kitty Wampus just fizzles. Upon closer magical inspection, an arcana check, it turns out that Saucy Poo was attempting to banish Kitty Wampus.
Banishment. Wow, that's a pretty serious spell, 5th level, I think. Can send a creature to another plane.
Yeah. The fact that it fizzled suggests either Saucy Poo failed the spellcasting check, or maybe Kitty Wampus had some resistance. Or maybe even a counterspell. The notes don't quite say.
Either way, Saucy Poo has now used up a significant magical resource on a failed attempt. That's noteworthy, attempting such a high-level spell so early.
Indicates a potential turning point, right? He's likely used up some serious magical energy without getting the effect.
For sure.
But Saucy Poo doesn't give up. He follows up with a smaller spell, Sacred Flame.
Okay, Sacred Flame. Requires a dexterity saving throw from the target, Kitty Wampus in this case. Deals radiant damage if they fail.
Radiant. Often good against undead and fiends, though we don't know Kitty Wampus's type. Luckily for Kitty Wampus, they succeed on that save. Avoids the damage.
This shows Saucy Poo is still actively engaged, even after his bigger spell failed. Switching to a different attack, targeting a different save, shows some versatility as a spellcaster.
Now Timador jumps into the fray, trying to hit multiple enemies with a lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt, elemental damage. Can be resisted or even absorbed by certain things.
It deals a hefty 38 lightning damage, but only 19 after the enemies made their saving throws. And you noted that some of the damage seemed to be absorbed.
That damage absorption is a crucial detail. Could be a specific magical ability, inherent resistance, maybe a magic item.
Yeah, it's a signal that the party needs to be aware of different enemy defenses, maybe adapt their tactics.
Definitely.
And there's a brief moment of confusion because the visual representation of Saucy Poo on your virtual tabletop shows him facing backwards.
Huh. Yeah, those visual cues in online play can occasionally be misleading or just take a moment to update. Happens all the time. Usually it doesn't impact the actual game mechanics, though.
Then Ector's shadow appears and takes a swing at someone named San, but misses.
Another shadow. Sounds like Saucy Poo has more allies than just the ones initially visible. The continued arrival of adversaries really emphasizes the scale of this encounter.
Yeah, the fact that reinforcements are arriving mid-battle suggests this might be a well-defended location, or maybe Saucy Poo can call for aid, increases the challenge.
For sure.
It's San's turn next, and they realize they can't just jump down to reach some enemies without provoking opportunity attacks from the shadows.
Opportunity attacks. A reaction a creature gets when an enemy moves out of its reach. Smart move by San to deal with the immediate threats first.
Yeah, so they attack the shadow that hit them with a magical longsword, dealing both slashing damage, typical sword damage, and electrical damage.
Ooh, magical enchantment then.
Seems like it. This attack apparently takes the shadow down. And then San finishes off the other shadow with another attack from the sword and a magical hand. San sounds pretty formidable.
This shows smart tactical thinking by San. Recognizing the danger of multiple opportunity attacks, prioritizing the closer threats, and that combination of slashing and electrical damage might be significant if the shadows had specific vulnerabilities.
And just when you think the immediate threat of the shadows is dealt with, a female, hot, rat-like creature with a small scimitar appears.
Okay, interesting description.
She loops down, but misses her attack. You even made a note about scimitars being short, dexterity-based weapons in D&D. Suggests she might be agile, relies on finesse.
Yeah, this new arrival adds another layer of complexity. Hints at a potentially quick, nimble opponent, Her missed attack could be foreshadowing or just, bad luck.
But Saucy Poo is far from finished. He summons protective spirits, spirit guardians.
Spirit Guardians. Powerful spell. Creates a radius around the caster, damages enemies who enter or start their turn there.
In this case, it deals necrotic damage, that life-draining energy, and it also has the speed of creatures within the area. It makes it harder to move around.
And he also activates his magic helmet, you noted.
Right. And poor Ursa immediately feels the effects of those spirit guardians, takes 6 necrotic damage, speed halved after failing a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saves often relate to willpower, resistance to mental effects. Spirit Guardians is a classic battlefield control spell. Creates a dangerous zone, discourages melee attackers, hinders movement. Ursa, failing the save, puts them at a significant disadvantage, harder to disengage or reach ranged attackers.
As if that wasn't enough, small crossbow-wielding creatures appear.
More enemies.
Yep, attacking both the monk and Stroop with piercing damage, like from arrows or bolts. The monk manages to deflect one attack, probably a specific ability or high dexterity.
Okay, but Stroop takes 4 piercing damage. This shows the variety of threats, not just spellcasters and melee, but ranged attackers too.
The arrival of these ranged attackers forces the party to consider their positioning, right? Can't just focus on the immediate melee threats.
Exactly. The monk deflecting highlights their defenses. Stroop taking damage shows ranged attacks are still a danger.
And then one of the players casts Hypnotic Pattern.
Ooh. Hypnotic Pattern. Powerful enchantment. Can take multiple enemies out of the fight. Requires a wisdom save. DC 18 here. That's pretty high.
The rat-like creature and one other enemy fail their saves. Become charmed, see the caster as friendly incapacitated, and 0 speed for a full minute, assuming concentration holds.
Concentration, right, that's key. If the caster takes damage or casts another concentration spell, the effect can end.
And a flying creature manages to resist the effect, but then the mesmerizing pattern vanishes after just a moment.
So maybe concentration was lost quickly. Even when it works, the charmed creatures can snap out of it if they take damage or someone uses an action to shake them awake.
Hypnotic Pattern is fantastic crowd control when it works, but yeah, the quick dissipation underscores the vulnerability of concentration. Those enemies aren't necessarily out for good.
Still, takes them out for a bit.
The fight continues. Attacks focus on someone called Mark Saucepanu, who eventually takes significant piercing damage, and then more large rats join the fray. Seriously.
Yeah.
It really feels like the enemy numbers are endless in this cavern. This constant influx emphasizes the danger, suggests a well-entrenched group. Maybe an alert went out, forces the party to constantly reevaluate priorities.
The arrival of more enemies, especially larger ones, suggests the party might be facing a much larger force than they initially thought. Could be a trap, a lair, a coordinated ambush.
Keeps the pressure on.
But then Ursa unleashes a powerful spell, Radiance of the Dawn.
Radiance of the Dawn. DC 17 Constitution save often relates to physical resilience, deals radiant damage, which is often very effective against undead and creatures of darkness, and it dispels magical darkness.
It hits most of the remaining enemies, rats, Maynard, Fall, and crucially, Saucy Poo fails his save and dies, losing concentration on his spirit guardians.
Whoa, that's a massive swing. Saucy Poo's down, and the battlefield is significantly clearer. Those damaging spirits vanish.
This is a major turning point. Radiance of the Dawn is potent area of effect, radiant damage clearly effective. Saucy Poo losing concentration is huge. His death is a significant victory. Definitely.
But the story takes a dark twist. As Saucy Poo falls, a shadowy figure with white eyes and teeth steps right out of his corpse. You noted that these have been seen before emerging from clerics. Talk about creepy.
Wow. That emergence suggests a deeper, maybe supernatural element. The fact it's happened before implies it's recurring, might hint at a larger threat or specific type of possession.
This is fascinating and unsettling. The fact they emerged specifically from fallen clerics suggests a strong connection, maybe parasitic, or a consequence of their faith. The repetition hints at a larger mystery.
Yeah, definitely something the party needs to unravel.
The immediate aftermath of the Radiance sees Fall and Maynard taking some damage, but the shadowy entity remains completely unharmed.
Unharmed. Suggests it might have resistance or immunity to radiant damage then.
Then Ursa uses their bonus action to summon a spiritual weapon described as an imp on a flaming hat.
Hey, memorable image. A spiritual weapon is conjured, floats, attacks enemies, but this one misses its target.
Even after such a powerful spell, the fight's clearly not over, and this new shadowy threat remains. Spiritual weapon gives Ursa a persistent, mobile attack option, but yeah, it needs to hit.
Exactly.
Next up, Timador casts a carefully aimed fireball, a sculpted fireball, to avoid hitting the still-standing monk.
Ah, sculpted. Good tactical awareness, minimizing friendly fire while still hitting multiple enemies.
It engulfs some were-rats and a bat creature. Fireball deals significant fire damage. One were-rat is incinerated, the others and the bat are visibly injured, bloodied, you noted. Timador is strategically trying to eliminate the weaker ones.
Effective. Focusing on weaker foes thins their ranks, reduces the overall threat.
Hector finally gets to attack the monk with 2 scimitars, dealing some slashing damage. Even with all the chaos, they haven't forgotten the monk on the ledge.
Right. Can't ignore existing threats even when new ones emerge. That monk, even if not the most immediate threat, could still cause problems if left alone. Continuing pressure keeps him defensive.
Then San unleashes a flurry of blows on Hector. Rapid sequence of attacks.
Flurry of blows, classic monk ability.
This onslaught deals both lightning damage, likely from that magical sword, and non-electrical damage. It's enough to bloody Hector, knock them prone, making them easier to hit.
And Sand continues to attack with advantage, rolling twice, taking the better result. Sounds like they incapacitate Hector. A brutal and efficient takedown.
This flurry showcases Sand's martial skill. Knocking Hector prone is a significant advantage. The combination of damage types could be effective against various defenses.
Definitely.
The shadowy entity then turns its attention directly to Ursa.
Oh boy.
But Ursa manages an incredibly high wisdom saving throw, a natural 25.
Wow, natural 25. That's a critical success on the save. Completely unaffected by whatever the entity was trying to do.
And the entity then simply fades away.
Fades away. Okay, huge relief. Seemed like a very dangerous, unknown threat. Ursa's exceptional willpower resisted whatever it was trying. Its disappearance suggests maybe it's linked to the cleric's life force or has a limited duration. Its departure is definitely good news.
Maynard, possibly sensing an opportunity, attacks the monk twice with a scimitar, dealing more slashing damage. Still determined to bring that monk down.
Even with the odds shifting, Maynard's still engaging the remaining threats. Every bit of damage counts.
Right. Even when facing multiple threats, focusing on weakening key opponents can be crucial.
Absolutely.
But the unaffected bat creature is still active. It swoops down, assaults the monk multiple times with what you described as baby scimitars.
Baby scimitars, okay.
Dealing significant slashing damage. The monk has to make multiple constitution saving throws with advantage to maintain concentration on a spell they're clearly still casting.
Ah, the concentration checks.
Yeah.
Being targeted by multiple attacks while trying to concentrate. Classic challenge for spellcasters. Failing those saves means losing the spell. Advantage helps, though.
Yeah.
Tough, but not hopeless.
Just when things seem to be maybe, possibly calming down, snake-like archers slither into view.
Seriously, how many enemies are packed into this cavern?
The continued arrival of new threats highlights the dynamic, unpredictable nature here, forces players to constantly reassess.
It certainly keeps the tension high. Introducing ranged attackers now means the party can't just focus on melee. They need to think about positioning to avoid getting picked off.
True.
But then a new and rather striking figure emerges. Orda. A feminine rat humanoid wreathed in blue flames, giving off a bright light.
Okay, Orda sounds like a significant new player. The description suggests magically powerful, blue flames, bright light, hints at innate magic or powerful enchantments. Her arrival definitely signals a potential shift.
She sounds like a force to be reckoned with. Could be a new primary threat or maybe a key leader.
And immediately, someone in the party is on the ball. A counterspell is cast against Orda, preventing her spell.
Nice. A successful counterspell against a newly arrived, potentially powerful enemy is a huge tactical win. Prevents them from immediately impacting the battle. That's a critical interception. Shuts down Orda's initial spell, buys the party valuable time to assess the new threat and plan.
Stroop, meanwhile, takes a brief respite to drink a healing potion as a bonus action.
Smart. Bonus action for a potion is efficient. Recover some health without sacrificing your main attack or spell. Good move in the chaos.
Exactly. Utilizing bonus actions for healing lets you stay engaged while tending to injuries, maximizes effectiveness in a prolonged fight.
Then Stroop blasts someone named Mark with Eldritch Blast, dealing force damage. Looks like he's still focused on damage even after healing.
Eldritch Blast, yeah. Reliable damage cantrip for some casters. Provides consistent, potent damage. Stroop continuing to apply pressure helps whittle down the enemy. The bat creature then attacks Ursa again, and Ursa once more uses Warding Flare, causing the first attack to miss.
That ability is proving really useful for Ursa. Valuable protection. Continues to be an effective defensive reaction, mitigating attacks, increasing survivability.
Timador then switches target and fires an arrow at another creature, scoring a natural 20.
Natural 20. Critical hit, usually double damage dice, maybe other effects. Always welcome.
A crit can be a significant turning point, right?
Yeah.
Potentially taking down a weakened enemy or dealing massive damage. It's that moment of luck that can have a big impact.
Definitely.
Ursa then unleashes Radiance of the Dawn for a second time.
Wow. Again, clearly not letting up on the radiant damage.
It washes over the shadowy thing, the bat creature, and the snake archer, dealing significant radiant damage. The shadowy thing, which seemed so resistant before, is now heavily damaged. The bat creature is brought down, and the snake is also visibly affected.
Seems like Ursa found a very effective spell against this group. Casting it again, especially after it worked so well, shows good understanding of their vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Even the shadowy thing being damaged suggests radiant energy was a key weakness.
And in a surprising twist, Vogelfest, Kitty Wampus's beast companion, attacks and then suddenly transforms into a giant great ape.
What? Okay, talk about an unexpected upgrade in firepower. A sudden transformation like that likely grants increased strength, hit points, new attacks, makes it a much more significant threat.
A transformation of that scale is a dramatic shift in combat power, can completely change the dynamic, gives the party a powerful new ally, or a much tougher version of an existing one.
For sure.
Amidst all this intense action, there's a brief pause in the game session.
Huh. Sounds like everyone probably needed a moment to catch their breath and reassess after that. Those pauses are often necessary. Let players and the DM catch up, strategize, manage the complexity.
Absolutely. In such a fast-paced, chaotic situation, taking a moment to regroup can be crucial.
Then there's a discussion about the difficulty of navigating a cobalt-populated dungeon with low ceilings.
Shows the players are thinking ahead, right? About movement, future challenges. Low ceilings can impose limitations, especially for larger characters or those needing vertical movement.
Considering the environment is key tactical gameplay. Obstacles in terrain impact movement, line of sight, effectiveness of abilities.
Confusion then arises over whether Ector is actually defeated.
Yeah, it can be easy to lose track in such a large, chaotic battle. Keeping track of everyone's status can be challenging. Clear communication, maybe note-taking helps.
Yeah, maintaining awareness of the battlefield is crucial for effective tactical decisions.
Someone asks if there's still an aura around Orda. Apparently she has an aura of light blue flames. An attempt to magically analyze it with an Arcana check isn't possible right now.
Inability to identify it suggests it might be unusual or powerful, maybe protected by a ward, or a very specific, unique type of magic. Those blue flames keep hinting at her unique properties.
Yeah, the fact standard analysis isn't working is telling.
And then in the middle of this intense combat, there's a lighthearted exchange about sandwiches.
Even in the most stressful situations, sometimes you just need a mental break. Those moments of levity can help break tension, keep the atmosphere enjoyable.
Absolutely. Those brief moments of humor can be great for stress relief, keeping morale up.
It's noted that the shadowy spirit is still lingering, sort of watching the cleric's body. Seems it hasn't completely departed yet.
So even though it faded earlier, its continued presence near the fallen cleric suggests a strong connection, maybe a lingering threat.
The shadowy entity's persistence, even after Saucy Pooh's death, is significant. Implies its existence might not be entirely dependent on the cleric being alive, or maybe there's lingering magical energy drawing it there.
More attacks follow. Zoltar manages to heal himself and then attack. The transformed great ape attacks one of the snake archers. Another archer shoots at Stroop, piercing damage.
The battle continues to rage. Both sides trading blows, trying to gain the upper hand. The back and forth shows the ongoing struggle.
Exactly. Both sides pressing advantages, trying to wear down the opposition.
Orda then casts a spell, causing a player to see a mirror illusion. Requires a wisdom save, DC 17.
Illusions can be very disorienting, cause characters to misjudge distances, attack the wrong target, move into danger. A successful wisdom save is crucial to see through it.
Illusions are a classic tactic to disrupt focus, create openings. A high save DC indicates this one's potent.
A player then casts Armor of Agathis.
Armor of Agathis, defensive
Okay.
spell, grants temporary hit points, and deals cold damage to anyone hitting them with a melee attack.
A counterspell attempt against it fails, so whoever cast it now has this icy protection. Gonna make anyone thinking of hitting them up close think twice.
Yeah, Armor of Agathis is great defense with retaliation. Punishes melee attackers. The failed counterspell means the enemy has to deal with it directly.
The combination of temp HP and cold damage makes it particularly effective against melee-heavy opponents.
Lovely.
The fighting continues, various attacks, spells. The great ape manages to defeat one of the snake archers. That transformation has definitely turned the tide in melee.
The Great Eight continues to be a powerful asset, taking down enemies, clearing the way. The sheer strength and ferocity are clearly having a significant impact.
Ursa then casts a spell described as Old Person on Orda. Wisdom save 17. Your notes say it creates some kind of illusion.
Old person spell. Sounds like Ursa's trying to mess with Orda's mind. Distract her, make her underestimate them. Using illusions against a powerful opponent like Orda shows creativity, willingness to try different tactics.
Yeah, the description suggests a potentially disorienting, maybe even comical effect. Could disrupt her focus, cause hesitation, create an opening.
Could have psychological effects, too.
Timador follows up with magic missiles aimed at the flying bat creature.
Magic missiles. Reliable force damage, automatically hit. Good way to finish off weakened or evasive enemies.
Exactly. In a chaotic fight, that guaranteed hit can be invaluable for securing a kill or ensuring damage against a fast target.
And then, a slimy, gooey creature emerges from somewhere.
Seriously, what is with this cavern and the endless supply of monsters? The arrival of yet another creature reinforces the idea they've stumbled into a very dangerous, heavily populated area. Its description suggests unique abilities or resistances.
The appearance of this new, unusual creature adds another element of unpredictability. Might pose a different kind of threat.
A player hits Orda with his sword and immediately takes cold damage, likely from her blue flames or some other magic effect.
Ouch.
They also note Orda seems to be under the effect of fairy fire.
Fairy fire. Makes a creature glow, negates invisibility benefits, and gives attackers advantage on attack rolls against it. Very useful.
Yeah. So, the combination of taking damage on hitting Orda and the benefit of fairy fire highlights the complex interplay of magic here. Fairy fire gives a significant advantage.
Shows the risks and rewards of engaging Orda in melee. Her defenses might hurt attackers, but fairy fire increases the chance of landing hits.
A stunning strike attempt on Orda fails. She succeeds on a constitution save with advantage. She's proving quite resilient.
Orda resisting a stunning strike, especially with advantage, underscores her toughness, likely high constitution. Stunning strike is powerful, can temporarily take an enemy out, so resisting it speaks volumes.
The player continues attacking Orda with their sword, finally defeating one of the other enemies and hitting Orda again, slowly but surely, chipping away.
Persistence against a key target, even a resilient one, can eventually work. Every hit deals damage, brings them closer. It's the nature of attrition in combat.
The shadowy entity that emerged from Saucy Poo finally fades away after 3 rounds.
Good riddance. Its departure is a significant relief, represented an unknown, potentially dangerous threat. 3 rounds suggests a limited duration, or maybe tied to the cleric in a specific way. Its disappearance removes a significant unknown, lets the party focus on remaining threats.
Kitty Wampus then attacks someone named Snide with daggers, dealing both piercing and poison damage.
Classic roguish attack. Daggers and poison reflect Kitty Wampus's likely style. Poison damage could be particularly effective, often applies ongoing damage or other negative effects.
A character referred to as Mayor attacks Stroop with a scimitar, deals piercing damage, immediately takes cold damage in return likely from Stroop's armor of Agathes.
The armor strikes back.
The Mayor then drinks a potion, presumably healing, attacks Stroop again, dealing slashing damage and taking more cold damage. Your notes say they make a concentration check afterwards. This Mayor seems determined, despite the icy retaliation.
This exchange highlights armor of Agathes' effectiveness as a deterrent. The Mayor's persistence suggests strong determination, or maybe unawareness of the spell. The concentration check implies the Mayor might also be a spellcaster, or under a spell's effect.
Another archer then attacks Stroop, dealing piercing damage and finally breaking through the temporary hit points from armor of Agathes. The spell ends.
Okay, so that spell definitely did its job protecting Stroop for a while. Its expiration leaves Stroop more vulnerable now, important for him to heal or reposition.
The monk's low health is noted. They've really taken a beating.
Yeah, despite high AC and initial advantage, the monk's clearly been a primary target, sustained significant damage. Reduced hit points put them in a precarious position, more vulnerable.
Orda, even while under attack and seemingly weakened, lashes out with her staff. Deals both bludgeoning damage, impact damage from a blunt weapon, and force damage, that raw magical energy. She's still dangerous, even on the ropes.
Even after taking damage and being hit with debilitating effects, Orda's still capable of significant damage. highlights her resilience. Continued threat shows that even when injured, a powerful opponent shouldn't be underestimated.
Suddenly, several enemies start throwing javelins.
Javelins, turning into a ranged barrage now on top of the melee.
Use of javelins indicates remaining enemies are using whatever weapons they have, even if primarily melee. Keeps pressure on the party at different ranges. This multi-pronged attack forces the party to divide attention, manage threats from multiple directions.
Tough situation.
Ursa makes a quick perception check roll to notice things and briefly spots another Dickie Moore incoming in the water.
Dickie Moore suggests a potential underwater threat or another group approaching via a hidden route. Ursa's timely perception check provides valuable early warning. Early detection is crucial.
Stroop reacts immediately, casting Dissonant Whisper on the incoming creature.
Dissonant Whisper deals psychic damage, mental energy, forces a wisdom save. If they fail, take psychic damage and must use their reaction to move as far away as possible from Stroop.
Sounds like that's what happens. The creature is forced to retreat. Quick, effective response.
Yeah, Dissonant Whisper is great for disrupting enemies, controlling movement. Forcing the new arrival to retreat immediately negates a potential threat. Demonstrates excellent tactical thinking.
Now the players start running and shooting at the remaining enemies. Seems like they're trying to reposition while still dealing damage. Maybe a tactical withdrawal to a more defensible spot.
Could be. Repositioning while maintaining ranged attacks can be good strategy. Avoid being surrounded, gain better vantage points. Utilizing movement and ranged attacks to control engagement distance can be very effective, especially against melee-focused enemies.
The transformed great ape continues its rampage, attacking and defeating another enemy. That ape is proving to be a real powerhouse.
Continues to be a powerful asset in melee, taking down enemies, clearing the way, sheer strength and size making a significant difference.
Hector, still somehow standing after that brutal flurry from San, tries to attack Orda but misses.
Still in the fight, even if not very effectively. Despite being previously incapacitated, still attempting to engage, maybe desperation, final act of defiance, even ineffective attacks can distract.
Ursa then unleashes another fireball, carefully aimed just above someone named Chemo to engulf Orda, Gordon, Chemo, and Snide.
Another fireball, wow. Everyone caught makes a dexterity save for half fire damage. Your notes say Orda manages to absorb some of it again.
That absorption ability is still significant. Casting fireball in such a tight group is high risk, high reward. Potential for friendly fire. Orda absorbing fire damage again highlights her unique magic.
Using fireball in a concentrated area can be effective, but yeah, risk to allies is high. Orda's fire absorption makes her challenging for fire attacks.
Timador, showing impressive versatility, uses magic missiles not to attack but to heal someone named Siri.
Heal with magic missiles. Huh. Some abilities might allow that, maybe. Good way to bring an ally back from the brink.
Utilizing offensive spells for healing shows flexibility, prioritizing keeping allies alive. Redirecting magic energy for healing in a pinch can be resourceful, especially if traditional healing is low.
Makes sense.
San uses Wholeness of Body Monk ability to regain hit points and then drinks a healing potion, clearly recovering from being bloodied, getting back into fighting shape.
Recovering from being bloodied is crucial. San, using abilities and a potion maximizes recovery, ensures they can keep contributing.
More attacks and healing follow. Survey also drinks a potion. Sounds like everyone is trying to stay alive in this incredibly chaotic, damaging fight.
Continued use of healing potions underscores the intensity, the damage the party's taking. Maintaining hit points is paramount in a long fight like this.
Orda, despite being the target of so many attacks, keeps lashing out with her staff, bludgeoning and force damage. She's not going down easily.
Even after taking damage and debilitating effects, Orda remains a persistent threat. Continued aggression despite being under heavy fire shows determination, resilience. Remains significant until truly incapacitated.
One of the players uses their look points to try and affect Orda's attack roll.
Luck points. Valuable resource. Reroll dice, gain advantage, impose disadvantage. Can be game changers. Using them at a critical moment, like an enemy attack roll, could be the difference between taking big damage and avoiding it entirely.
Stroop, heavily wounded by this point, musters strength to blast the bat creature with Eldritch Blast, still contributing even while severely injured.
Even when low on health, maintaining offensive pressure helps reduce active enemies, protect more vulnerable allies. Stroop's continued offense shows commitment.
Stroop then drinks yet another healing potion. He's clearly been in the thick of it.
His repeated need for healing highlights the danger he's faced, the damage sustained. Focus on healing indicates he recognizes the threat to his survival. Staying alive is top priority.
Final attacks are being made against the few remaining enemies. Really feels like the end of this grueling fight might finally be within reach.
After such a prolonged, intense battle, the focus on final attacks suggests the players are close to overcoming the remaining opposition. The shift indicates the tide has likely turned.
And then, Hodor sets off another fireball, making sure no embers of resistance remain.
Another well-placed fireball can deal with multiple weakened enemies simultaneously, speed up the conclusion. Efficient way to eliminate remaining threats quickly.
But wait, Ursa reveals they had been holding their action. A surprise strategic move.
Held action allows a strategic response to a specific trigger. Flexibility, potential to interrupt enemies or capitalize on a favorable situation. Revealing it at a key moment lets a player maximize their turn's impact.
Ursa uses that held action to attack Orda with their spiritual weapon and then follows with Sacred Flame. Orda fails the Wisdom, save against Sacred Flame, takes half the radiant damage. That held action paid off, big blow to a weakened Orda.
Utilizing a held action to target a key enemy with multiple attack spells when a favorable condition arises shows good tactical thinking. Orda failing the save makes it even more effective. Coordinated assault, good teamwork, focus on eliminating the primary threat.
Sing then hits Orda with Scorching Rays. Multiple beams of fire, significant fire damage, really focusing all remaining firepower on Orda now.
Concentrating multiple attacks on a single tough enemy is common strategy to bring them down quickly. Scorching Rays gives multiple chances to hit, deals decent damage. Overwhelming a resilient opponent, often the most effective way to ensure defeat.
Sing then uses a key point monk resource activate Step of the Wind. Allows them to disengage from melee without provoking opportunity attacks, move further away. Smart move.
Step of the Wind lets a monk disengage and move quickly. Good way to escape melee without provoking attacks. Creating distance can be crucial to avoid retaliation or reposition.
Orda, clearly desperate, tries to counterspell Sing, but her attempt fails, running out of options as her magical defenses are whittled away.
A failed counterspell at this stage further weakens Orda's defenses, magical capabilities, makes her increasingly vulnerable.
But Orda has one more trick up her sleeve. She casts Fireball.
Another one.
It explodes, hitting the Great Ape, Spoop, and Tim. Everyone makes a dexterity save for half of the 30 fire damage. This fight just refuses to end.
Even when seemingly on the ropes, a powerful caster like Orda can still unleash devastating attacks. Forces more saves, more damage. This final act of aggression shows her determination, the danger of underestimating a powerful caster even when wounded.
There's a quick question about the cost of magic arrows. Always important to track resources, right? Especially expendable ones.
Resource management is key. Knowing cost and availability of ammo, supplies influences tactics. Ensuring you have necessary supplies for future encounters is vital.
The players briefly speculate about Orda possibly absorbing fire damage again, given her previous resistance. Her connection to fire seems recurring.
Orda's potential ability to absorb fire could be key to understanding her power's vulnerabilities. Might influence future tactics against her. Understanding enemy resistance immunities is crucial for optimizing attack strategy.
Stroop, not giving Orda a moment's peace, casts Dissonant Whisper on her again. And with those big ears, you noted, she fails the Wisdom save at disadvantage, takes 11 psychic damage, forced to move 35 feet away.
Clever. Utilizing specific details about an enemy's appearance or weaknesses to impose disadvantage is creative, effective. Forced movement disrupts positioning, prevents effective spellcasting. Exploiting perceived weaknesses can provide a crucial tactical advantage.
Stroop then drinks yet another healing potion. Definitely taking a beating, needs the extra hit points.
Continued reliance on healing underscores the punishment he's endured, his determination. Staying alive is priority one.
One of the players notes that their summoned creature, Albert, has disappeared. Summons are often temporary, limited duration.
Right. Summoned creatures typically have limited duration. Important for players to be aware when magical allies might fade. Keeping track is crucial for planning.
A player, not giving Orda a chance to recover, attacks her with a ranged weapon, scoring a dirty 20 hit. Another critical success.
Critical hit with ranged can deal significant damage, especially to a weakened opponent. Could be the final blow needed.
The Great Ape, not to be outdone, hurls a rock at Orda, scores a very high hit, deals massive 37 damage. That ape is a real powerhouse, delivering truly devastating blows.
The Great Ape's strength is evident in that powerful rock throw. Such high damage could be enough to finally bring down a weakened foe. Sheer physical power of transformed Vogelfest proving a major asset.
Ursa tries to cast Spare the Dying on someone named Surso, but the spell fails because Surso isn't actually at 0 hit points yet.
Gotta read those spell descriptions carefully. Understanding the specific conditions required is crucial to avoid wasting actions. Spare the Dying only works on creatures at 0 HP. Accurate knowledge of spell effects is essential.
Ursa then casts Dispel Magic on Orda, and it works. Successfully removes an effect you speculate likely Fire Shield, which could explain her fire resistance absorption. That ability's gone now.
Dispel Magic. Valuable tool for removing beneficial effects from enemies. Getting rid of Fire Shield significantly reduces Orda's defenses, increases her vulnerability.
Ursa repositions their spiritual weapon again, moving it to a more advantageous position, persistent source of magical damage.
Utilizing the spiritual weapon's mobility allows Ursa to target different enemies or maintain pressure.
Ursa then moves towards the fallen body of Saucy. Seems like the party's starting to secure the area, investigate the remains.
Moving to the fallen cleric's body suggests securing the area, examining remains for clues or loot. Examining fallen foes can yield valuable info, resources, clues about affiliations, objectives.
The terms of any remaining minor enemies play out, and surprisingly, another fireball erupts.
What? Even now? This fight keeps throwing curveballs. The fact remaining enemies can still launch powerful attacks like fireball shows they're not to be underestimated, even weakened.
Good reminder that even when victory seems close, need to remain vigilant for last-ditch efforts.
Finally, after what sounds like an incredibly long, challenging fight, Orda is confirmed to be unconscious. The major threat finally neutralized.
Orda being unconscious signifies a major victory. She appeared very powerful, resilient. Bringing down such a formidable foe is a significant accomplishment, likely marks the true end of this intense combat.
The party immediately begins looting Saucy Poo's body. You note other remaining active enemies are just a few weird rats. Time to gather spoils.
Looting fallen enemies is standard adventuring, provides resources, potentially valuable items. Securing useful items is a practical way to replenish resources, gain advantage.
Timador takes initiative, ties up the still conscious but incapacitated bat creature. Can't have enemies escaping.
Securing unconscious enemies prevents them rejoining the fight or escaping to warn others. Taking prisoners can provide opportunities for interrogation, gathering intelligence.
A new round begins, and wouldn't you know it, a creature suddenly pops up in the water, casts a spell with no obvious components, quickly submerges again.
This dungeon just keeps throwing surprises, even after that massive fight. The appearance of a new, magically active creature indicates the threat level remains high. Lack of obvious components suggests maybe innate magic ability.
This sudden reappearance highlights dangers lurking in the environment. Suggests the party might have only dealt with one faction here.
San, with water-breathing ability, uses a bonus action to disengage and moves into the water to investigate this new submerged caster, not letting a mystery go.
Disengaging lets San move without provoking opportunity attacks. Water breathing gives a significant advantage in pursuing the aquatic creature. San's proactive approach shows initiative, willingness to confront unknown dangers.
And what does San spot in the dark water? A gelatinous cube.
Oh, come on. Just when you thought the monster mash was over. Another classic dungeon hazard. Gelatinous cubes are dangerous, hard to spot, can engulf prey. Its presence in water adds another layer of peril.
Yeah. Appearance of a gelatinous cube underwater presents a unique challenge. Harder to detect in murky conditions, engulf attack particularly dangerous in confined space.
San bravely attacks the cube with her lightning sword underwater. But your notes say disadvantage on the perception check to even see it clearly. Fighting underwater adds complexity.
Right, underwater imposes penalties, disadvantage on attack rolls, perception checks due to altered environment, using lightning weapon in water. Interesting choice, though game doesn't seem to impose extra effects on attacker. Engaging a dangerous predator like a cube in its own element requires caution.
San manages to attack again, but wisely decides to retreat due to the cube's potential attack of opportunity. Better to disengage and reassess than risk being engulfed.
Recognizing when to disengage is tactical awareness. A cube's engulf is extremely dangerous. Prudent decision-making is crucial. Knowing when to withdraw is as important as knowing when to attack.
San communicates the cube's presence mentally to the party. Good teamwork, using all available communication.
Sharing info about new threats is crucial for survival, allows coordination. Effective communication among party members often differs between success and failure.
Ursa, turning attention back to downed Orda, casts Spare the Dying on her, making sure she remains stable.
Even though Orda's unconscious, Spare the Dying ensures she remains stable, can be questioned later. Stabilizing a defeated enemy important for interrogation or preventing them dying and maybe being resurrected.
Ursa then prepares to gag the unconscious Orda. Sensible precaution. Prevent her casting verbal spells if she wakes up.
Preventing a captured caster using verbal components is standard precaution. Wise strategic move.
Stroop, with perhaps a touch of impatience, blasts Jenna, who is still unconscious, with Eldritch Blast. Surprisingly, the force damage wakes him up.
Maybe not the most gentle way. Dealing damage to unconscious creature typically wakes them. Effective, but certainly not gentle. Might not be a most diplomatic approach either.
A brief debate ensues. Should they bother tying up the now-awake Jaina? Always a question of trust with former enemies.
Deciding how to handle captured enemies involves assessing risk, parties' resources for securing them. Evaluating potential threat is key part of post-combat management.
Someone raises the question, can remove curse cure lycanthropy? Given the rat-like humanoids, relevant if they plan on dealing with these creatures beyond capture.
Rules for remove curse and lycanthropy can vary, something they'll need to investigate if they intend to help those afflicted. Understanding limitations potential of spells like remove curse is important.
The players proceed to tie up the other remaining conscious enemies, making sure they can't cause more trouble. Standard procedure.
Securing all conscious enemies ensures they can't interfere or escape. Logical, practical measure.
Possibility of using an alarm spell is brought up. Good way to get early warning if more unwanted guests show up.
An alarm spell can provide valuable info about approaching threats, allowing preparation or avoidance. Setting up magical security provides significant advantage in hostile environment.
Ursa tries to spare the dying on the rat girl again, fails a second time, getting suspicious. Either not dying or something's interfering.
Repeated failure warrants investigation.
A medicine check confirms rat girl is alive. Not at 0 HP. So, seems she might have been faking unconsciousness. Sneaky.
Confirming her actual condition highlights importance of using multiple methods, not just appearances. This deception underscores need for caution, even with defeated enemies.
Ursa, clearly not trusting her, decides to bind and gag her too. Can't be too careful with a potentially faking enemy.
Given the deception, securing her is prudent. Taking extra precautions is logical response.
Timador, keeping watchful eye on water, moves towards edge, holding a fireball ready, prepared for more aquatic surprises.
Preparing a powerful attack like Fireball to counter emerging threats shows proactive defense. Being ready is key to survival.
Ursa then tries to negotiate with the unconscious Orda, asking her to surrender for good treatment, info, valuables, even unconscious clear statement of intentions for when she wakes.
Attempting negotiation can be a more efficient way to gain info, secure resources than continued combat. Establishing terms beforehand can streamline interactions later.
Someone makes a distinction. Sparing Orda's life, not necessarily her finances. Willing to let her live, but doesn't mean they'll return loot.
Pragmatic approach balances desire for in-force sources with potential offer of mercy.
A message is sent to someone named Dave, in character. Likely coordinating with others maybe not present or aware.
In-character communication lets players share info, strategize without revealing intentions to DM or characters not privy. Maintaining communication within party crucial.
Ursa takes a moment, rereads, spare the dying description, double-checking conditions, limitations.
Thorough understanding ensures spells used correctly, effectively, accurate knowledge essential.
It's noted willing targets can waive saving throws against spells. Useful piece of info for future interactions, allies, or maybe cooperative prisoners.
Rule can be beneficial, allows allies to willingly subject themselves to effects. Understanding nuances like waiving saves open strategic possibilities.
Surprisingly, even unconscious, Orda's player indicates she accepts surrender. Finally, potentially peaceful resolution with a major opponent.
Orda's surrender marks end of significant threat. Opens door for interrogation, info gathering. Willing surrender often leads to more productive outcome than continued resistance, especially facing overwhelming odds.
Despite accepting surrender, Orda is still bound and gagged once secured. Party taking trust but verify approach.
Even with surrender, taking precautions is wise. Maintaining security is prudent measure.
More discussion about the sending spell used earlier, who might have received it. Party trying to piece together who else might be involved, where.
Identifying who might have been contacted provides clues about allies, potential future threats. Understanding enemy communication network gives insights into organization, potential reinforcements.
The party begins to ransack the immediate area before moving on. Standard adventurer procedure. See what valuables clues they find.
Searching area yields resources, weapons, armor, magic items, info. Thoroughly searching defeated enemies' lair often uncovers hidden treasures, important info.
Detect magic is cast. Reveals several magical auras. A +2 scimitar, magic half-plate armor, magic cloak, magic staff, unused +2 flail. Not a bad haul.
Discovery of multiple magic items is significant reward for overcoming such a challenge. Greatly enhances party capabilities. Acquisition will likely provide significant advantages.
Someone asks about exact number of +2 arrows found. Highlights importance of detailed inventory.
Accurate accounting ensures party knows what's available. Precise record keeping, especially for consumables like magic arrows, crucial for long-term planning.
6 magic potions also discovered. Potions always welcome. Offer quick healing, other benefits.
Magic potions provide immediate benefits, valuable assets. Having good supply can be lifesaver.
Possibility of using mass healing, prayer of healing, disgust. Patch everyone up after taking so much damage.
Prayer of healing, efficient way to restore HP to multiple allies during rest. Utilizing mass healing helps party recover more efficiently, conserve individual resources.
Party considers spells the possessed cleric, Noville, had prepared. Cure wounds, light, basic cantrips. But felt higher-level slots available, though couldn't recall specific spells. Possession might have disrupted access.
Cleric retaining basic spells but not higher ones after possession. Interesting detail. Could have implications. Partial memory suggests possession had selective impact. Could be genuine or deception. Further observation might be needed.
Prayer of healing is cast, restores much-needed 17 HP to several individuals. Should help them recover.
Restoring HP after fight, essential for continued survival, ability to face challenges. Sufficient healing crucial before further exploration.
A greater healing potion is mentioned. Indicates even more potent healing resources available.
Greater healing potions provide more substantial healing, particularly valuable in critical situations. Access to more powerful options vital for recovering from severe injuries.
Quick recap of magic items found. Good to have clear understanding. Interestingly, no spellbook or scrolls found on the cleric. Might be significant.
Absence could suggest he relied on prepared spells, or items were lost hidden. Lack of spellbook might indicate cleric prepared spells through divine inspiration, not written texts.
Noted only the one magical trap they triggered mentioned. Seems they haven't discovered others nearby.
Identifying, avoiding magical traps crucial. Party fortunate, only one triggered. Remaining vigilant for further traps still priority.
Party briefly considers exploring other rims, but realize it would likely trigger another initiative roll, more combat. Need to decide if rewards outweigh risks.
Weighing potential benefits against risk of another fight. Common dilemma. Deciding when to press forward, when to consolidate gains is key strategic decision.
They now have several prisoners. Question is what to do with them.
Handling prisoners presents moral, practical challenges. How to secure, interrogate, decide fate. Treatment can have immediate, long-term consequences.
Long rest definitely needed after that grueling fight, but party isn't sure if location is safe. Wearies of staying versus finding more secure place.
Resting essential for recovering HP, spell slots, but needs secure location to avoid ambush. Finding safe, defensible location top priority after major encounter.
Spell tiny hut considered as potential shelter. But concerns about underwater threats, gelatinous cube, disappearing caster, and possibility of magic being dispelled. Plus, ongoing eclipse period affects long rests somehow.
Tiny hut provides safe haven for most external threats, but has limitations. Vulnerable to dispel magic, potentially ineffective against creatures bypassing barrier or attacking from below. Eclipse adds environmental challenge. Relying solely on one safeguard might not be sufficient.
Ultimately, party decides current location isn't secure enough. Resolve to move to safer area before resting. Prudent decision given lingering threats, unknown dangers.
Prioritizing safety for long rest, crucial for long-term survival. Choosing secure resting place, sign of experienced adventurers.
Possibility of using Orda's teleportation circle components to send prisoners away with messages discussed. Efficient way to deal with them without guarding them long-term.
Teleportation circle offers quick transport over long distances. Useful tool for dealing with prisoners, sending for reinforcements. Utilizing magical transportation can be practical solution, especially if party needs to move quickly.
A confirmed Orda carrying 2 sets of components. Valuable resource. Multiple sets allow more than one use, increases utility.
Cost of components remembered. 50 gold pieces per use. Not cheap. Need to consider cost.
High cost necessitates careful consideration of benefits versus cost.
Before sending them off, party wisely decides to question prisoners. Glean useful info, information gathering, always priority.
Interrogating prisoners yields valuable info about motives, allies, area layout. Gathering intelligence provides crucial insights for future actions.
You note a brief mention of sugar issue in character, a little bit of in-game flavor, a running joke.
Those small in-character details add flavor, humor, personal touches bring game world characters to life.
Prisoners informed they can potentially ransom lives by providing valuable info. Classic interrogation tactic.
Offering chance to survive for info. Effective way to extract what party needs. Promise of leniency. Powerful motivator.
Role-playing of interrogation begins. Stroop as bad cop, Underhill Ursa as good cop. Classic dynamic.
Utilizing different interrogation styles can break through defenses, obtain more accurate info. Combining approaches often more effective than single method.
Significant treasure found. 1,800 GP worth of diamonds, other valuables. Substantial reward.
This substantial treasure provides resources for equipment, spells, necessities. Significant influx of wealth opens new possibilities.
Noted diamonds are right quality value for Revivify spell component. Bring character back from dead. Good contingency plan.
Having diamonds for resurrection spells crucial for dealing with potential character death. Being prepared is prudent measure.
Party's current mission reiterated. Looking for spies or traitors. Focus of questions to captured enemies.
Keeping primary mission in mind helps focus interrogation, ensure relevant info gathered. Directing interrogation towards objective helps prioritize.
Insight checks used to gauge truthfulness. Insight skill used to determine intentions, detect lies.
Relying on skills like insight, crucial for discerning truth from falsehood during interrogation.
Possessed cleric, Novel, surprisingly claims to remember nothing from while under influence. Amnesia.
Complete memory loss suggests possession particularly traumatic, or entity deliberately erased memories. Could be genuine or deception. Further observation might be necessary.
Despite lack of memory, party decides send Novel back via teleportation circle. Maybe his people can help him recover, deal with aftermath.
Sending Novel back lets his faction deal with it. Potentially provides party further info later. Decision reflects strategic consideration of implications.
Recurring detail. Shadowy spirit leaving cleric's body noted again. Consistent, unsettling phenomenon.
Consistent emergence strongly suggests significant underlying plot element. Repeated appearance warrants further investigation. Likely holds key to understanding possessions.
Magic helmet, Saucy poo. War mentioned again. Significant item. Notable equipment.
Repeated mentions often indicate importance or unique properties. Paying attention might yield clues about individuals, powers.
Possibility of using sending spell before teleporting prisoners discussed. Good way to give heads up about who's coming. Circumstances.
Sending message ahead lets recipients prepare, understand situation. Providing advance notice helps avoid misunderstandings, hostile reactions.
Revealed teleportation circle components activate is located within an arena. Immediately raises concerns about safety of just sending prisoners through. Could arrive in dangerous, hostile environment.
Arena location suggests public or contested area, potentially immediate conflict on arrival. Introduces significant risk. Prisoners could find themselves in danger or released into situation leading back to party.
Questioning of prisoners finally begins in earnest, starting with peons, rat-like creatures, lower hierarchy.
Starting with lowest ranking logical approach. Might be more easily intimidated, less loyal. Interrogating less powerful first sometimes yields valuable info with less resistance.
One rat creature reveals they work for Orda, confirming her leadership. Also provide info on gelatinous cubes, eelfolk presence, and potentially very important, Orda likely has underwater chamber with her spellbooks. Treasure trove of info.
This prisoner provides several key pieces. Orda's connections, area dangers, potential location for her valuable resources. Could provide significant advantages for future exploration confrontations.
Second rat creature questioned provides similar info. Corroborates first account, sketches slightly different map. Cross-referencing increases accuracy. Also reveals they're conscripted for 15 seasons. Suggests not willing participants might cooperate against Orda. Not exactly loyal followers.
Conscription detail adds moral complexity. Consistency in accounts strengthens credibility. Detail about conscription offers potential avenue for cooperation.
Next imprisoner. Weir Rat, who mentions being with the Batman. Based on earlier notes, likely the spellcaster who used counterspell. Time to extract info from more significant player.
Questioning someone allied with a spellcaster could provide insights into tactics, abilities, goals. Could reveal valuable details about magical capabilities, strategies.
This Weir Rat provides interesting details. Batman is an Eldritch Knight fighter with some spellcasting. Crucially confirms he has bonded weapon, magic weapon summonable as bonus action, currently has it. Valuable intel for future encounters.
Information about Eldritch Knight's abilities, particularly bonded weapon, important if party encounters him again. Knowing about opponent's key abilities, crucial for preparing.
Well, you certainly dropped us right into the thick of it with this session, a chaotic dungeon crawl filled with shifting alliances of strange creatures, magical assaults coming from every direction, strategic retreats, and, well, ultimately the capture of several very enigmatic figures.
Yeah, the recurring appearance of those shadowy entities and the rather peculiar magical abilities of Orda definitely leave us with a lot more questions than answers about what's really going on in Sparta.
What's truly fascinating is the sheer unpredictability of these adventures. This session really underscores how vital it is to have a, well-rounded party, one that can bring a diverse set of skills, arcana, perception, combat, spellcasting.
Exactly. And the way the players adapted to those constant, unexpected threats, creatively using their abilities, was clearly key to their survival in this incredibly challenging encounter.
And the mention of potential underwater chambers, those concealed doors the rat creatures spoke of, strongly suggests there's even more to uncover if the party decides to venture back.
Absolutely. The mystery surrounding those shadowy figures is particularly compelling. What are they? What's their connection to these possessed clerics? And Orda, her apparent link to fire, the lingering questions about her connection to water, definitely intriguing.
And of course, the fate of those prisoners being sent through that teleportation circle into an arena that's a cliffhanger in itself. So many compelling threads for future sessions.
What stands out most to you, our listener, from this deep dive into your session? What lingering questions are bubbling up in your mind about the world of Sparta or the true nature of these strange creatures? We'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts and theories, your insights. Truly help guide our next exploration into the, well, unfolding saga of your adventures.
And finally, thinking back on the mention of potential lycanthropy among these creatures and the subtle suggestion of forced transformations, consider the kind of moral and practical dilemmas our adventurers might face down the line if they encounter more individuals afflicted this way. It's definitely a heavy question to ponder as you continue your adventures. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.